The county, we welcome you wholeheartedly. I would also like to welcome the committee that's here today. And I would like to also welcome one man in particular. It's an honor for me to introduce my Congressman, Jeff Denham, representing the 19th District, Fresno, Madera, Mariposa, Tuolumne, and Stanislaus County. Distinguished public career beginning at the age of 17, when he joined the United States Air Force and served for 16 years of active and reserve status. Fought in Operation Desert Storm, Operation Restore Hope, and in Iraq and in Somalia. He also served California as a two-term senator and earned honors and recognition for his stance against runaway spending, protecting taxpayers from wasteful state projects. It was during this time that we learned that Congressman Denham is not afraid of a righteous fight. Jeff Denham knows our valley. He lives agriculture, understands business, and how legislative decisions impact individuals, either helping them grow or crushing them with bureaucracy. When Congressman George Radonovich announced that he would not seek re-election, he called on his friend Jeff Denham, and again, Jeff Denham answered the call to duty. A friend of agriculture, a friend of the valley, a tax fighter, a man we can count on. Let's welcome our Congressman, Mr. Jeff Denham.
Thank you for the opening commentary and welcome. And we are here at the request of Congressman Denham, and he will be recognized shortly. First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out today and for their participation. Hopefully we can get everyone in here, and everyone will have an opportunity to participate in some way. Let me set the order of business this morning for the committee. First order of business will be opening statements by members of Congress and who are here, and we have everyone here is a member of the panel. The next order of business is we have some select individuals who are joining us, and they will be commenting, and I will instruct them specifically on what we're seeking today. Then as time permits, we'll hear from others. Let me say too, and Ms. Richardson offers this motion, that the record of these proceedings and opportunity to participate and submit your suggestions or comments or records into the record of today's proceeding. She moves that it be open for a period of 2 weeks. Without objection, so ordered. So even if you don't get an opportunity to address the panel today, you will have the opportunity to submit any of your ideas, recommendations, and suggestions. Let me also say that we are here at the specific request of Mr. Denham, otherwise we wouldn't be here. Mr. Denham asked the panel to come here. This meeting is part of a series of meetings which we began last week, what's today, Tuesday, a week ago, Monday. And as the chair, I decided that in order to write a long-term transportation infrastructure measure in the House of Representatives, I thought it would be good to listen to the people across the land. That would also be good to reach out on a bipartisan basis. So the first hearing was held in Beckley, West Virginia. Never been there before, but we took the panel there, held a hearing there, and another meeting in Charleston, the state capitol, last Monday. That's the home of the Democrat ranking member, Mr. Ray Hall. So we're in a series of hearings in probably a dozen states and more than that number of hearings. We had to postpone a couple because Congress was in session until 4:30 a.m. just 2 days ago. And we'll reconvene those hearings that were set in New York and Pennsylvania. We have been in Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Chicago, Illinois, yesterday in Vancouver, Washington, and tomorrow we will be in Los Angeles. Tomorrow will also be a unique presentation and cooperative effort. That will be a joint U.S. House and U.S. Senate hearing in Los Angeles tomorrow morning. My counterpart is Ms. Barbara Boxer from the state of California, and she chairs the Public Works and Environment Committee of the Senate, which is our counterpart, which will help us craft hopefully a 6-year long-term measure. The reason we're here also is the failure during the last several years of the current legislation and law that authorizes all transportation projects, major transportation projects, national policy for transportation, all of the funding formulas and specific prioritization of projects. It's contained in this long-term federal bill. Again, this is what is our blueprint. The measure that we're currently working on expired September 30th, 2009. We've done 6 extensions, and when we return next week, the individuals at this on this panel and the other members of the House, we will pass an extension. That'll be the 7th extension, and I pledge to try to make it the last extension before we do a long 6-term bill. That extension will be through September of this year. I'd like to do a shorter term, but the short-term hiccup, missing the mark approach just doesn't cut it, and states and other entities need to have some certainty from the federal government as to their partnership involvement, funding commitment, and that's why we're doing the bill that's expired until the 30th of September. It's my hope again to have this bill completed on a bipartisan, bicameral basis by that time. The other, just for your information, our first priority when we return next week will be taking up another measure, or I'm sorry, in the next few days to set the national policy for our aviation and Federal Aviation Administration. As the chairman of the Aviation Subcommittee in 2001 to 2007 and 2003, we passed a 4-year authorization, again setting forth all the policy funding criteria, projects of priority. That bill expired in 2007. We've done 17 extensions, so we've not had any authorization for the last 4 years as far as a long-term commitment. And this committee passed out this past week a measure in the United States Senate in on a rare occasion, beat the House in getting the legislation forward. So we have the challenge of getting that out. So we have no transportation policy long-term. We have no FAA policy long-term, which accounts for a great deal of economic activity and jobs in this country. So the reason we're here today, and I'm not getting into the local food fight on the high-speed rail project, so I don't want to hear people bashing or promoting that project. What I do want to hear is suggestions for inclusion in the bill. Now, if there are parts of what you would like to see improved in the process, the way we got to this situation, so if we've made mistakes, we don't make them again. If you have ideas of how we can better finance projects, how we can streamline projects, this panel has to go back starting in a couple of weeks and sit down and draft the federal transportation policy for the country and get it right. In the hearings we've heard so far, and beyond tomorrow, we'll be in Tennessee, we'll be in Arkansas, we'll be in Florida, we'll be in Oklahoma, and on before we finish this. But that's mid-March, we'll sit down and start drafting. So I don't need people to come here and tell me how bad the situation as far as infrastructure crumbling, and I'll cut you off if you start telling me that. If you don't know that, you're living on another planet, or you're smoking some of that funny California weed. I don't need to hear about that. What we need as specifics on what we put in that legislation, improvements, so we can do these projects, the best projects, on the best basis, with the best funding, with the best streamlining, whatever. So we're looking for positive recommendations. That's the way we're gonna run it, okay? Got it? And everyone will have an opportunity to participate. Now, when I leave, you'll have Mr. Denham here. Mr. Denham, who got us here, will also take your recommendations up till the ink is dry and we go to the floor and actually in the manager's amendment. We'll welcome your positive suggestions because you're gonna help us craft that legislation. So those are the rules of how we'll proceed, what we're gonna hear today. I'll start out first by thanking again. Now, one of the things I get to do as chair is pick the leaders of the committee, the 6 chairs of the 6 subcommittees, which are pretty coveted positions. And I told a group last night and others, anyone who asked me about Jeff Denham, I had to make a decision, and actually to have a freshman chair, one of the most significant of our 6 subcommittees, is quite rare. I made that pick some weeks ago, and I couldn't be more pleased with what he's already done, just in a matter of days, in leading the economic development, public buildings, and emergency management subcommittee. He's got great credentials and already proven himself as one of the stars and leaders. We're also pleased to have join us from California, Southern California, Laura Richardson, who's been now gaining good seniority on the committee, and had opportunity to work with her in a bipartisan manner, and I'm so pleased that she would come up today, and she's joining us tomorrow in Los Angeles. And then my long-suffering, he's the early Jeff Denham. He was one of those stars. Actually, his father was the chairman of the committee, the renowned Bud Schuster, and Bill Schuster came to Congress. Then one of the, again, young new leaders, and now gaining seniority. He chaired the subcommittee Mr. Denham has, and he is now the chair of the rail it's referred to as the rail subcommittee, but it has broad jurisdiction. So with those comments, directives, the opening commentary, I'm now pleased to again thank and yield to the gentleman from California and our host today, Mr. Denham, to be recognized.